Hi, my name is Pat Woods. I'm the Director of Religious Education here at Abraham Lincoln Unitarian Universalist Congregation, and I'm here with this week's Time for All Ages. Now, normally you'd see me in front of the camera with props or a book or something like that, but this week's piece is really more of a think piece, and it was prompted by the fact that our sermon is going to be about the Illinois Innocence Project. And that's a cause that's very near and dear to my heart and to the social justice hearts of a number of people at ALUUC. And it got me thinking about this whole aspect of social justice work that UUs do. And it's an important part of who we are as UUs. As a matter of fact, on our national website, we even have this statement. We affirm our belief that collective social justice activity is an integral part of Unitarian Universalism and necessary for living out our theological approach. That's kind of a big charge. So if we're going to be UUs and we're going to live our faith, then we want to take part in this collective social justice activity. So for us, what that means is that we need to make sure that we're finding social justice work that really reflects, respects, and honors the diversity of the people who make up our congregation. That means we have to be as inclusive as we possibly can when we're making decisions about it or doing it. And it's kind of important that we have a supermajority making those decisions. Now, a supermajority is much different from a regular majority. A regular majority is just the most people win. But with a supermajority, you say, well, no, we got to have 2/3 of the people, or maybe even 3/4 of the people. And decisions made that way tend to be a little bit more reflective of the entire group. However, we also have freedom to find our own passions and causes as well, and that's something that UUs have been doing for centuries. I think it's important at this point that we consider this sign that we put out in front of our congregation. It's a pretty important sign, and each one of the statements is a belief that we are expressing, and those beliefs often lead us to our social justice activities. As a matter of fact, it's been that way for a long time. If you look back in history, for example, at Theodore Parker, one of the more influential American Unitarian ministers, he was kind of an important guy because way back in the 1800s, he actually endorsed women's suffrage. He was one of the first to refer to God as both father and mother, if not the first. He was arguably the intellectual leader of the anti-slavery movement, and he definitely took charge of the Boston movement to rescue fugitive slaves. Over on the left, Jewel Freeman Graham, a more recent UU, was a professor of social work in Ohio, and in addition to her work with the congregation, also worked with the YWCA, the Young Women's Christian Association, a group that notably had no black women and no black women in positions of leadership. And she rose to become the president of the World Executive Committee in 1987 to 1991. Her obituary even said her leadership for women and for racial justice on a worldwide scale was nothing short of exemplary. So we have some models in history to look back at to inspire us when it's time to start making decisions about social justice. And the nice thing about the social justice activities in which UUs engage is not only can it be the group activities, but can also be personal activities. There are a number of folks at ALUUC who are actively involved in the Illinois Innocence Project that we're going to hear more about today. We regularly work with the Phoenix Center, and we have a young member who is vitally involved in the Forever Home Feline Ranch. And of course, we are very active in UUANI and the Faith Coalition for the Common Good. So these are all things that can help us make it personal, even while we're keeping it local. So, of course, the question is, so what? Well, the so what in this is, I think it's so important as Unitarians for us to find our passion. If it's a passion that we can share with a group, that's marvelous. This year's Social Justice Committee is focusing on getting the vote out in 2020, focusing on the environment and environmental justice, and also focusing on reducing homelessness. And these are all things that would offer you an opportunity to explore and expand your passions. And if it's something else, then do that as well. but the important thing is go do good in the world, because that is such a fundamental part of being a member of our community and of the UU congregation.